Yes, many Elgersmaisms or something. So
I kept a file on my computer for 8 years because he kept saying weird and strange things almost every day. He used to say, the light at the end of the tunnel is the oncoming train. That was for the end of the semester.
I was going to say that, Bill is the Bhagwan Rajneesh, which is his word. The memorable thing about Bill is all of his sayings. Is the Bear Catholic? He's the Bhagwan Rajneesh. Oh, that guy, he has one eyeball and one tooth. Those are all Billisms that have made it into my psyche forever.
He's the kind of neighbor that if he saw you struggling on a windy Saturday to put a piece of rolled roofing on your shed, all of a sudden he was up on the ladder. That's just Bill. He's the first guy to help you out.
I don't have like a specific memory, but there were a lot of times that I knew that if I showed up to practice early, he would be sitting there just in his lawn chair, and you would always hear some funny story or some words of wisdom or things like that.
One day I went out to my car and all this confetti just blew out of the vents straight in my face, and I think I just went, Bill! Like right there, I knew that was something that Bill would do. And it was actually kind of great because moving from a faculty role to an administrative role, sometimes people give you more distance than you actually want, and he was just willing to be a friend who was not above pulling a good prank.
my entrance into Sioux Center was through Bill Elgersma because I was living in St. Paul and driving here and teaching Tuesday, Thursday, and then driving back. So I would stay with Bill and Jeannie Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night. And I had made a joke about like sleeping on the couch here. And he was like, that's not gonna happen. It was great. I mean, his kindness is, it's immense. His curiosity is sort of like unquenchable. He's very, very interested in everything. And I think that, I mean, that's one of the things that I love about him. And he is a believer in the gift economy, which means that he is just going to give you things, usually his own time and his own help.
One of the ways I think of Bill is that he's a living sacrifice, like actually a living sacrifice. So for example, one time I came up here after a long commute and I said, Bill, something's not right with my brakes. And I soon learned not to say something like that because Bill went down and took my wheel off to check my brakes without me knowing it. That's the kind of thing that Bill did for everyone.
One of my favorite memories is just, it's sort of a general one, and it's the long procession of students, ex-students, athletes, ex-athletes, alumni that would just come to his office door. They would be comforted if that's what they needed. They'd be cheered on if that's what they needed.
That he notices how people are doing and he checks in and then he takes time to listen. Just always ready to listen, and it didn't matter what a person's age is or their station in life or maybe even what the status of the grade was in his class. He cared and was ready to hear.
The thing that I appreciated most about Coach Elgersma was probably his open honestness. He had a way of not hiding who he was and what he thought about things, and I think that was really helpful for all of us because we saw someone who was being genuine, and we also heard some things that we really needed to hear.
Bill was the greatest mentor I can imagine. Just go to him with any question, whether it's about your garage door not shutting properly, your car not working, something in class not working, or a problem in a Core 120 writing class. He could answer and talk you through just about anything, knowing not just the issues, but the personalities.
I mean, I remember many times coming back from class and like sort of just saying aloud, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know how to teach this, I don't know how to do this, and Bill would get up out of his chair and he would say, well, let's talk it through, and we would go scribble these things on the board. He's like almost unintelligible handwriting, but scribble these things on the board, and he would walk me through how to think about things in education. I mean, he's somebody who always cares more about the how and the why of education than any of the other stuff. Like, why am I teaching this and how can I best teach it?
He wanted to know, and I would say still wants to know, not just that we're saying the things, or even that students are hearing the things, are able to regurgitate them, but that they're living those things, that they've really caught in their heart. And he's paying attention to that. And I think that's why so many conversations with students and colleagues for him, it's about more than being able to put it out on paper.
He was interested in you as a person and your personality and getting down to what you're really struggling with. That sometimes means he would cut through the BS and dig down until you really leveled with him. And everyone knew he meant well even when he asked the hard questions. I mean, talk about a person who, speak the truth in love, that's what Bill was after.
One of the unique things about Bill was whether it was in a faculty meeting, sometimes after a faculty meeting, or if I just ran into him in the hall, he would always cut to the chase, give it to me unvarnished. And I always appreciated that, to cut through the fluff and be willing to tell me maybe what he thought I needed to hear at the time.
Bill is probably one of the most sincere people I've ever met as far as dealing honestly with what he thought was right and wrong. He's certainly one of the most principled people I've ever met. And then but also wrestling with problems that are just faith-wise very difficult, even impossible to answer. And doing that out loud, not just bottling it up, but talking openly to us about and the students about that. So you go into his classes, that's what you're gonna get, pure honesty about the real world.
I think the thing that I learned the most when it comes to my faith after being on the team was seeing his genuineness and how that was lived out. He never did things for the sake of doing things or going through the motions, and I think that was really helpful to see, especially because we want to be a team that represents Christ on and off the field.
He believed in the gospel, and the gospel led him to deep commitments. He kept us honest in that way through commitments. The gospel called him to justice and to being committed to doing the right thing.
He's reformational to his core, which means, to me, that means he never calls attention to it because he wouldn't even pretend that he could get outside of it. It is just the way that he sees the world and the way that he thinks about things, and so I think in that way his faith always affected everything that he was doing.
I think it fits with the gospel. Bill was a collector of broken things. Okay, they could be garage doors, they could be cats, they could be cars, of course, snow blowers, they could be people, and whatever the thing was, it was better after Bill was done with them.
I think of Bill as very much an authentic person. That's what he brought. That's Bill Elgersma, a living sacrifice. Like he puts his body on the line, but not just that, he puts his heart on the line.
That was extremely inspiring, awe-inspiring in a lot of ways.
We all say that we put students first, and we do, but Bill's on a sort of different plane.
If I could grow up to be like Bill, I would, you know.